Hey, what's up, guys? Cowboy Crunk coming to you live from Kabul, Afghanistan. Just wanted to check in, go over the season last year, some of the defensive strategies we had, how they worked, how some of them didn't, in particular the changes we made towards the end of the season with our rookies in the secondary. So this could be basically a video, the breakdown of our secondary, the last 5 games, and how well they played compared to the beginning of the season when we had the injuries, the hamstring problems, Sean Lee being gone, and some other things, and also Ezekiel Elliott not there. Ezekiel Elliott only was a factor in the last 2 games, but you guys know how well he keeps our offense on the field and keeps our defense well rested. So we'll start with the first game against the Giants. You guys know we won that 19-3. We gave up 220 yards passing to Eli Manning. We did very well in the rush game. This is not their complete rushing yards, but their leading rusher had 16 yards, no touchdowns, and that was a win. Go to the second game. You guys know we got clobbered. We got our asses handed to us by Denver. We gave up 231 passing yards. We were horrible in the red zone with 4 touchdowns, and the running game did not hold as well. Sean Lee was there. Pretty sure that was our only game we gave up over 100 yards rushing with Sean Lee there. Game 3 against the Cardinals, Carson Palmer lit us up for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns. At this point, you know, the coaching staff knows we're having trouble with the secondary, and that needs to be worked on. As far as rushing, Sean Lee was there. He was fine towards through this whole game. We gave up, their leading rusher was only 22 yards, so the rushing game was holding. Again, guys, this is particularly on the passing game, so you guys might see me skip over some of the rushing yards. But the fourth game was when Sean Lee was not there. He had the hamstring issue, I believe it was, and it was the first game that Sean Lee missed for the season. We gave up 35 points. We also gave up 121 yards rushing to Todd Gurley. They had about another 40 yards rushing for a total of about 160. Jared Goff had 255 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Second game, Sean Lee was gone. We gave up 35 points. The secondary held Rodgers to 221, not too bad, but again, we got ate up in the red zone with 3 touchdowns. So and another game where we gave up over 100 yards rushing. Jones had 125 and led the Packers. I think they had like 160 yards rushing that game as well. Next game, Sean Lee returned. Like we really needed him against San Francisco last year. This was before Garoppolo was there. So we gave up 235 yards passing to Beathard, but he had no touchdowns, and the running game, as you guys know, was better. We only gave up 68 yards due to Sean Lee was back. We won that. That was a win for us. Next game was a win for us again. We did give up 263 yards to Kirk Cousins. You guys know Kirk Cousins doesn't get a lot of credit, but we played him a lot, and he always looks tough. I think he's a better quarterback than some people think. Maybe don't deserve the paycheck he has, but anyways, 263 yards passing in this game and 1 touchdown, and great on the rushing game. Their leading rusher was 19 yards, so we did well on the ground with Sean Lee being there. Next game was Kansas City. As you guys know, we won this game. There's a play in particular that I did show earlier this year with, I think it was 3 or 8 seconds left in the half. If you guys recall, they had the little 20-yard, not really a screen pass, it was a pass over the middle to Hall, and he took that to the house for 80 yards to end the half in a play that would not have happened if we had a really good safety in there. But we'll move on. Smith hit us for 263 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, and we did fairly well in the rushing game again with Sean Lee there, 37 yards to their leading rusher. Next game, you guys know we got killed by Atlanta. This was the big sack game. This was just nothing but a bag of groceries, man. We gave up 215 yards only to Matt Ryan, 2 touchdowns. That's well under his average, but you guys know that game, our offense was not moving the ball well at all. Alfred Morrison was there, and that was the first game that Ezekiel Elliott, first game Ezekiel Elliott was gone was the Atlanta game. So that really was confusing to us on defense and offense replacing him. Next game, again, we lose to the Eagles. We get our asses handed to us again. We only scored 9 points, and the week before, we only scored 7. This was the first 3 games Ezekiel Elliott was gone. This one, the Atlanta, the Eagles game, and the next game, which the next game, I believe, we only scored 6 points. So, but anyways, going over the secondary again, Carson Wentz only had 168 yards passing, but again, he had 2 touchdowns. It seems like our weakness is in the red zone. That's where you get your safety involved a lot, the communication with the safety. And at the end of this video, when I go over our secondary and show some of the clips from our secondary, not from our secondary, from another team's secondary, that shows how communication is supposed to work. Here we go again, 28-6. Secondary gets eaten up for 434 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Again, Ezekiel Elliott is not there. We have trouble keeping the ball, in our hands, and a lot of punts in this game. Not a lot of turnovers or anything, but just a horrible game for us, and we gave up big yards in the passing game again. This was the game we started making some adjustments in the secondary. This is the 12th game of the season. We are 6-6 at this point, and this is when the season really kicks into gear. We made some minor changes in the secondary. Kirk Cousins did still hit us for 251 and 2 touchdowns, but we held him to 14 points, and this was a win for us. The next game, this is when I think our season started with our secondary. We made the changes: Chidobe Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, Chidobe Awuzie, Xavier Woods, Brown was in there quite a bit. Jeff Heath played well. Kayvon Frazier was playing much more. But the thing is, we had those 3 rookies in there pretty much real consistently, and they played a really healthy part of especially second and third down. And that made a big difference in our secondary. Eli Manning hit us for 228 yards and 1 touchdown, but really what helped us was Dak had 332 yards and 3 touchdowns that game. So we did well. This game against Oakland is really when we started to play well in the secondary. 171 yards. Let me grab a pen real quick, guys. I want to write this down because I want to show a number at the end that I forgot to calculate. There's a number I forgot to calculate, and I want to do that for you guys. So this is game 14. We gave up 171 yards to David Carr, and this was a win for us against Oakland. Next game was against Seattle. This was the game 15, and this was the first game that Ezekiel Elliott was back. He went for 97 yards for us that game. Check this out, guys. We lost this game. This was the killing game in our season. This game, Wilson only had 93 yards passing. All right. The last 5 games is when our secondary really picked up and started to play well, especially the last 3 games. They were all together pretty much the last 5 games. We had hamstring issues. You guys know all that. Jordan Lewis and Chidobe Awuzie, Xavier Woods, all those guys kind of bounced around, and they kind of moved them to different positions, and Byron Jones as well. But the last 4 games, the last 3 games is when they particularly played well because they had been playing together, the rookies, our rookies had been playing really well together the last 5 games. So 93 yards we only gave up to Russell Wilson. In this game, it was a loss. We had the fumble by Dez. It was actually on the 40. I said in a video earlier it was around the 20. But he had a fumble on the 40 that Seattle took in for a touchdown later. They scored off of regular offensive plays after Dez fumbled on the 40. And then later in the game was when Dez had Dak had the pick six to the Seattle Seahawks in the secondary, and that went for a touchdown. So 93 yards in this game. Moving on to the next one, guys. The last game of the season, we give only 134 yards up, and yes, it was a backup quarterback to Sudfeld. And it was a win for us, 6-0. So I want to go back real quick. That's the third game, that's the fourth one, and the fifth one. 251 yards to Kirk Cousins, not too bad. And 228 yards to Eli Manning, still not too bad. 212 yards to David Carr. So we're looking at 250, 450, 720, 720, 550. Yeah, excuse me, 450. I'm trying to average this out, guys. 181 yards average passing on the last 5 games combined. That's really well, guys. That right there would get us in the top defenses in the league. If we can continue to do that with what we have now, we have those players on the roster still. We didn't lose any of those key players. Skandrick is the only one that left for Washington, and he really wasn't on the field that much during the last 5 games. That was part of one of the big moves. Now I want to move over to something, guys. I want to show you something. I really think Earl Thomas could be a big part of this, helping us. I have a video. It's Earl Thomas mic'd up, doing some certain particular kind of coaching on the field. You guys take a look at this. I think our secondary is okay, but this guy and doing what he's about to show you here is what we need. This is what we really need in our secondary. So let me roll the footage here, guys. I have a couple clips. I'm going to move it forward. All right, what he's doing there is he's telling guys, hey, we're sleeping. We're not getting to the huddle. We're not running to our positions. We're not getting in place. We're not hustling. Everybody's kind of wake up, guys. Let's go. Let's do this. Just kind of motivational, not really coaching at this point, but telling the defense, hey, we got to get fired up, guys. So we'll roll it forward a little bit more. Move forward a little bit. Watch this really close. Okay, real quick. He's on the sideline. He's talking to Douglas Williams. He's talking to the paint guy. He's talking to Sherman Douglas, and he's telling him we're butt naked. What he means by that is we're not covering. We're leaving things open. Then he says, let me know if you want to disguise LA. Now, I don't know what that terminology means to me, because that's football terms that they have in their playbook and their defensive schemes. But what he means is, let me know when you want to disguise the defense. When you want to disguise whatever LA is, if it's man or zone, let me know if you want to fake man and come back and drop into zone, or if you want to fake zone and drop into man, whatever that LA is. Let me know when you want to fake that so I can fake it with you, so we're on the same page. So we both come up and we both come back, or you come up and I drop back, whatever the disguise he's talking about. But he's coaching him. He's telling him, let's disguise this, let's do this, we got to work together. It doesn't help if a corner is out there playing games with the receiver, because the quarterback can read the safety. So let's go move forward and see what happens after they discuss this. This is a few plays later. Look at that. Boom. Interception by Sherman Douglas. Douglas Sherman. Richard Sherman. God dang. I messed this. I'm a name butcher. But look at this. See? Sorry, guys. Richard Sherman. I used to work at Sherman Williams and when I was younger for a while, so that messes me up really bad. But anyway, Sherman Douglas, Richard Sherman. See, I still do it. Richard Sherman. He's discussing with him, to disguise the defense. So they disguise the defense, and Richard Sherman comes up with a pick, and he runs over to the, hey man, I love you man, and they run to the sideline. So these are the kind of things that we really need in the secondary. I don't think we have, and with these young guys, we need it this year. We could start doing it this year. If these guys fall into their own little places and start doing the things they want to do, this is the year to work that. If we wait till next year and he's a free agent, maybe Xavier Woods, maybe these guys have a good season and they say, hey man, we don't need that dude to come in. Right now we got questions in there. We need to bring him in to solidify and move forward and answer these questions now. So let's play more. See? That's how a secondary works together. A lot of talking, a lot of move forward in the video, guys. Here a little bit to 354. Coaching. That's what we need. And when you play as well as he does, they listen to you. Those young guys are going to listen. He'll come in and command the locker room immediately, and those young guys will hand him the locker room. That secondary will hand the locker room to him. There you go. He's talking about ownership. He's saying, I need these guys to take ownership. I need them to, when something goes down, they need to own it. So here we go, guys. I'm going to move forward a little bit more. Look at this. This right here is what we need, and we need it this year. We don't need to wait a year, and our guys are going to grow a lot this year. If they grow into a position they like, they don't want Earl Thomas coming in next year and changing them. I think we need it this year, and if we've got to give up a trade for it, the more I look at it, the more I want to look at it, the more I follow it. I think it's a move we need to make. That's pretty much it, guys, on the film footage here. The rest of this is just hits and him pumping up the defense. But as you guys can see, look at that. He's a beast, man. He's an animal. A lot of the guys on the team, they say Earl Thomas reminds him of a Tasmanian devil, and it's true, man. You watch the footage, the screaming. And this stuff looks like nothing. The screaming and telling guys to move up. But when you're back there consistently with the same guys, and our team is young right now, we need to bring him in, let them learn from him, give him 3 years with Dallas, let him move on, or play another year or two if he wants to, take a decent salary. But do a 3-year contract, get him in here, get him to teach our guys. Really learn the hardcore position of a safety and what needs to be done. But that's the end of my video, guys. Another Earl Thomas video. I just had to do it. It's just because the season is coming. It's still working. Julio Jones held out, which I really think helps the Earl Thomas situation because he won't feel like he's holding out on his own. There's a few other players holding out as well. But I think this guy, I go back and forth, but the more I look at it, we really need to make this happen. We need to, give him close to what he wants. If Seattle doesn't do something with him, and we get to make an offer, we need to make that offer. Whether they feel comfortable, and I do feel comfortable with what we have now, but Earl Thomas makes it completely different, man. If we can average giving up only 180 yards the last 5 games without Earl Thomas, imagine what we could do with him. And you guys know the injury situation we had last year. These guys could come back through and have hamstrings again. You know, Jordan Lewis, Xavier Woods, Byron Jones. Any of those guys, any injuries we have a guy there that we can slide guys down and move them around. And Earl Thomas just makes our secondary much more flexible and much smarter. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel. That's a big thing. If you guys can subscribe, it makes the numbers go up, and it makes me more comfortable doing it when I know I got some guys out there watching. But appreciate the time spent watching the videos. Subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification. If you guys subscribe and hit the notification, you'll get a notification every time a video is posted. So I appreciate it, guys. Take care. Enjoy. We got 2 weeks and football's coming, baby. Let's go Cowboys.